we all watched this game. We saw a 4th down call. Now, I actually didn't hate Nick Sirianni's decision to go for it deep in Packer territory with like a minute and a half or whatever left. I wasn't actually upset that they went for it on 4th down. I understand the logic. You have a 3-point lead. You're deep in the Packers territory. If the Packers go down the field and kick a field goal, okay, fine. You're going to overtime. There are worse things in the world. The Packers could miss a field goal at home, which we actually saw, right? We saw them miss a field goal. If the Packers go down and score a touchdown, all right, well, that sucks. But here's the thing. If the Eagles kick a field goal and the Packers go down on their next possession and score a touchdown, unless they have a total kerfuffle on the extra point, they're going to win the game. So I actually didn't think Nick Sirianni was wrong to go for it when he did. I know that a lot of people were upset by it. It didn't actually upset me. What upset me was the play itself. The play that apparently was a rogue decision by Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. AJ Brown pretty much goes to the corner of the end zone, front corner of the end zone. I mean, he's technically like, 6 or 7 yards short. Hurts drops a dime to AJ. AJ reaches around the defender, right? He doesn't sky up like Devontae typically does to pull the ball down. He reaches an arm out and around, and we've seen him make this catch a million times where he one-hands it around the defender, brings it back in, and then probably blows the top off the defense and picks up those remaining 6 or so yards and scores a touchdown. The game's over, and Nick Sirianni looks like a genius. There were images and videos coming out after that play of it looking like Nick Sirianni yelling, why, 2 or 3 times on the sideline. And so it kind of fed into this idea that, oh, did those guys go rogue? And the reason that I bring up this idea of going rogue is because Bill Colarulo went over on 97.5 The Fanatic on Tuesday, and he threw out this idea that Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown together decided that they were going to draw up their own play, and that play that we saw, that route that we saw, that throw that we saw wasn't called by Kevin Patullo and or Nick Sirianni. So I want to go out. We're going to give Bill Colarulo the opportunity to make the case, and then we'll decide whether or not we think it's legit. All right, let's go out to Bill.
There were a lot of people, rightfully so, critical of the Eagles' decision to go for it on a 4th and 6 with only 30 seconds left in the game at the Green Bay Packers 35-yard line. When the ball got snapped and Jalen Hurts threw a bomb to AJ Brown down the left sideline, I was shocked. I was furious. I said, that is a terrible, terrible decision.
I did not say that.
However, right before I came on the air, I have been told by multiple reliable sources that AJ and Jalen went rogue again.
Again?
What? If you remember correctly, Seattle Seahawks game 2023, Sirianni came up to the podium, said it was his decision. We found out weeks later from AJ himself. Coach made himself look like a clown. That was me and Jalen going rogue. They did it again. And that is not opinion. That has been confirmed. Now, what I
would love to know who confirmed it, but we'll let this one play out.
Cannot confirm. If they didn't go rogue in that situation, what was the plan? Were you going to take a penalty and punt? Or did you just have another play called that wasn't that? I don't know the answer to that. But I do know AJ and Jalen went rogue again, and that is a problem.
So, you know, remember the old cartoon on Nickelodeon? Was it Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network? Remember the cartoon Courage the Cowardly Dog? Based on how the Eagles play calling looked on Monday night, I would actually say that the offensive coordinator is Kevin, the courageously not courageous coordinator. I mean, Kevin Patullo seemed to call a very conservative, scared game against the Packers on Monday night. And it felt like multiple instances where they just effectively gave up on 3rd down. The play call wasn't to try to get a chunk yardage play. There were a few times where it was just like, all right, run up the gut, like get ready to punt. So what was the play going to be if the Eagles hadn't gone rogue? If Hurts and AJ Brown hadn't gone rogue? I don't know. Could they have, like, what was the 4th down play going to be? Were they going to try a screen? Were they going to try like a 5-yard curl? Like, I don't know. I can't imagine that it was going to be a great play call. If it was a good enough play call or a great play call, and like Hurts and AJ Brown believed in it, well, then we would have seen whatever the play was. Here's the problem. It feels like some of these guys have kind of in a nice way spoken out about the fact that like they think that the play calling is kind of bullshit and that maybe the game planning itself is kind of bullshit. I mean, listen, can we just have a moment here to acknowledge the Eagles are 7-2. Things are pretty good. They're not perfect. Can we at least acknowledge that like there are probably 10 offensive coordinators in the league right now who would salivate over the idea of having this kind of talent? Yeah, I get that there have been injuries on the offensive line, including losing Lane Johnson for a chunk of this game as well. There are at least 10 offensive coordinators who would probably kill to have this Eagles offense and are probably watching these games, pulling their hair out, wondering what the hell Kevin Patullo and or Nick Sirianni are doing. This offense is far too talented to only have 10 points. And if you want to make the case, right, if you want to be one of these like psychos who's like, wow, this is clearly just Jalen Hurts. He's the problem. The receivers are great. The tight end's really good. The running back is elite. The offensive line is fantastic. It's all Jalen Hurts. He's an idiot. He's a loser. I fail to meet you even halfway on Hurts. Because even if Hurts is like a mediocre at best quarterback, which is what some of the haters will say, you still score more than 10 points on the Packers. This to me is not a talent problem. This is not a player personnel problem. This is 100% play calling and game planning. That's it. I don't even think it's an execution thing. Yeah, if you want to freeze frame certain moments in the game, there's one where like Hurts kind of goes and picks up some yards with his legs, and it looked like AJ Brown might have been open over the middle of the field, but what you don't see on that screenshot is that Micah Parsons is collapsing the pocket and Hurts has to run for his life. Okay, so like, I don't think it's an execution thing. Does Hurts miss a read sometimes in games? Sure. I think he does. But like, whatever. It still doesn't explain 10 points. Do the Packers have a good defense? They do. Should the Packers defense be good enough to hold this Eagles offense with this much talent to 10 points? No. No, they shouldn't. So anyway, bring it back in. Here's the issue. People who want to believe this Hurts and AJ Brown went rogue thing, they're going to have to figure something out really quickly. Do you believe it? And are you also one of the people who's convinced that their relationship is so fractured that it's broken the locker room and everybody hates each other? Because I don't know about you, but like if I hated somebody the way that some people are trying to make it sound like Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown hate each other, if I hated somebody that much, you know what I'm not doing? I'm not collaborating with that person to go rogue and stick it to my coaching staff and call that receiver's number on a potential game-ending play. I'm probably not doing that. So, like, you kind of have to make up your mind. Do they hate each other or not? Because if they hate each other, they're not going rogue, and they're not making that call. If they don't like each other, well, it's still possible that they dislike the play calling more, and they collaborated on that decision to run that route and to make that throw. Or maybe a lot of it's just overblown. I mean, I don't know.